Today from the Queen City, two Big East teams on the NCAA tournament bubble. Can Lazar Hayward and Marquette pull off a huge road win, or will Lance Stephenson and Cincinnati slam the door? Two teams fighting for their tournament lives next. And welcome to a rocking Fifth Third Arena for Big East basketball. Today, the Cincinnati Bearcats play host to the Marquette Golden Eagles. As we take a look at the Big East standings right now, you know everybody's chasing Syracuse and Villanova. Meanwhile, Marquette finds itself at 7-6 in Big East play, while a win today for the Bearcats will move them to 500 in conference play. And good afternoon to you. Glad to have you here with us today for Big East basketball. I'm Anthony Calhoun along with Mark Adams and Anthony Buford. And guys, without a doubt, this is a huge game for both of these teams. Mark, I'll begin first with you. How important is it for Marquette to get a win today?
It's a huge game for Marquette. They're number 7 in the RPI, and they're battling out with teams like Cincinnati. You need to differentiate yourself in February. Marquette needs to do that on the road today in the Queen City.
And Anthony, Cincinnati, they need this win really bad, don't they?
Well, they certainly do, and I tell you what, they've got to win at home on home court. And then they've got some big road games against West Virginia, and they've got Villanova coming in here. So opportunities to impress the committee. All
right, let's take a look at the star watch for today's game. Coach, take it away. We'll start first with Marquette.
Lazar Hayward putting up Player of the Year-like numbers here in the Big East Conference. He's a big guy that can shoot the medium-range jump shot. I love his inside presence, and he also leads this team in steals as well.
And Anthony, for Cincinnati, we've got a special freshman, don't we?
Yeah, preseason pick for Rookie of the Year, and Lance Stephenson hasn't disappointed. He's got to play well for Cincinnati to really come through this stretch.
All right, should be a good one. When we come back, we'll get you set with the starting lineups and the tip-off. It is Marquette taking on the Bearcats of Cincinnati next.
Don't just get a job. Learn a skill that you'll use for the rest of your life. Are you up for it? There's Strong, and then there's Army Strong. Take the first step at GoArmy.com.
Today's Big East game is brought to you by PNC, leading the way, and by Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable. We're back here in Cincinnati getting ready for Marquette against the Bearcats. Let's take a look now, though, at our starting lineups here, brought to you by Interstate Batteries. First, starting lineups here for Marquette. Check that. We'll start with Cincinnati first with Wright, Stevenson, Toyloy, Bishop, and Thomas. Deontay Vaughn not starting for the Bearcats today. It was a coach's decision. And far as starting lineups for Marquette, Johnson, Odom, Acker, Kubion, Hayward, and Butler. Brought to you by Interstate Batteries. Head coaches for today's game. Marquette's head coach Buzz Williams, in his second season, a record of 41-19, led his team to the NCAA tournament last year. And for Cincinnati, Mick Cronin, in his 4th year with the Bearcats, 57-62. So we are set to go here at Fifth Third Arena. Anthony Calhoun, along with Mark Adams and Anthony Buford. There's a look at our officials for today's game: Mike Kitts, Les Jones, and Gary Prager. And visiting team, Marquette in blue. Home team, Cincinnati in the white. Marquette coming in this game after a tough loss on Thursday night at home to Pittsburgh, 58-51.
For Cincinnati, so critical to guard the 3-ball right there, as Marquette loves to knock it down from deep range, one of the best in the country.
Hayward with the miss there. Really struggled in the second half, Anthony, against Pittsburgh.
Look here on the offensive end, you'll see Cincinnati's. They really want to try and attack Marquette at the basket, either getting the ball there on the drive or throwing it in.
Stevenson trying to shot Toyloy, came down the rebound, but stolen here. by the Golden Eagles. Here's Acker.
And for Marquette, the three ball is critical for Marquette to knock it down and force Cincinnati to take off-balance jump shots from the perimeter as they just did on the last possession.
Hayward for three. You can't get it to go. Thomas with the rebound.
Well, they certainly did force Cincinnati to take a tough two.
Well, Cincinnati, sometimes their best offense is just throw it up and go get it. They rebound nearly 40% of their misses.
Here's the steal here. Johnson Odom lays it in. Marquette gets the first points of the game. Let's take a look at the Cincinnati keys to the game.
Well, for Cincinnati today, throw it up and go get it and guard the three ball or get drilled. Because Marquette, Anthony, we've seen them. They love to light it up.
They certainly do. Fourth in the country at three-point shooting percentage, so they like to put it up from the perimeter, but they get it. They get their shots from penetration and pitch, which is the way to do it.
Inside of Thomas, he gets fouled. He'll go to the line and he'll shoot. He'll shoot two. Talked about this series between these two schools. Marquette is riding a two-game winning streak against Cincinnati, but the Bearcats lead the overall series 24-17. Mark, you know, when you look at Marquette, what are the, for us, early on in this game, what do they need to do to be successful here early on against Cincinnati?
Well, for Marquette, it's to get good open looks. There you see the three-point percentage leaders around the country. Number 4 shooting nearly 42% on the season. That's a lot of threes, and they shoot volume threes as well, Anthony. So they're not shy about knocking it down from long range.
As far as Cincinnati, Anthony, I mean, here they are here. Deontay Vaughn did not start in today's game due to a coach's decision, so they know they're going to need a leader out here tonight, right?
They certainly do. You look for Lance Stevenson to become that guy, even though he's a freshman.
Butler with the rebound, in some trouble. Here's a three. And that three is good. Once again, Johnson Odom coming in, averaging, shooting 49% from behind the arc. And it's 5-2, Marquette with the lead.
Well, get ready to see a lot of that. We're going to see raining threes here in Cincinnati.
Well, he has such a sweet stroke, too. I mean, I watched him in shoot-around before the game, and it looks like it's just real feathery coming off the fingertips.
Pressure here on Bishop.
Well, nearly a 5 count right there.
Almost a steal. And there is a steal. Kubion coming up with the steal. If you're Coach Williams, you got to like that pressure defense there, Mark, right?
Marquette only knows one way to play defense, and that's attack. And that's exactly what Marquette's doing right now to Cincinnati. The aggressor early is Marquette.
Talked about Deontay Vaughn, and just like that, here he is checking in the game for Cincinnati. He has started 19 straight games prior to today before the coach's decision to not start him against the Golden Eagles. There's been a lot of talk about Vaughn and just his lack of production of late. We'll see if they're coming to deliver here today against Marquette.
Defensively, Cincinnati, they've got to do a great job of controlling penetration, because that's what allows Marquette to shoot the three.
And we've got a foul on Toyloy. That's his first personal foul. Anthony, a former player here at Cincinnati. You surprised not to see as we take a look at this play here?
You see the leg. That's an easy call. Thomas complained about it, but that's pretty simple. You stick your leg out, trip a guy. That's a foul in every league in the United States.
And that's an absolute this year for the officials. That's a non-discussion foul. Once you have a ball here and it goes down because of a trip, it's automatic foul on the defender.
Here's Hayward with the jumper. Still can't get it to go. Cincinnati back the other way. Here's Vaughn.
Cincinnati doing a nice job of chasing Marquette off the three-point line.
Thomas in more trouble.
Well, look at the defense on Deontay Vaughn. It is full denial of number 5 in white versus number 5 in blue. There's Vaughn there.
Well, they want to make someone else for Cincinnati make plays, it looks like. So they're going to really take the basketball out of Vaughn's hands.
There's a deep three, and that's good by Deion Dixon, a 6'3" sophomore out of Chicago, Illinois.
Well, if Cincinnati can just make a few jump shots, Anthony, their offense looks so much better, but they struggle knocking down shots consistently throughout the season.
And you're right, Coach, and a lot of it is because of they don't get the type of penetration that you see Marquette get.
3-second violation here on the Golden Eagles. Got a timeout here on the floor. 15:39 left to play in the first half. Dixon coming up with a 3 for Cincinnati.
Now the key to a really good family calendar is sticky notes. Green can be groceries, girls' nights, or...
Today, you'll merge all your family calendars into one calendar on the Palm Pre Plus, the 3G smartphone smart enough for mom.
We're back here at Fifth Third Arena. Game tied at 5 apiece with 15:36 left to play here in the first half. Today's Big East Coaches Spotlight is brought to you by Oppenheimer Funds. Let's take a closer look here at Marquette head coach Buzz Williams. And Mark, I mean, what an impressive resume here for this guy here with Marquette, his second season. Last season, 12 Big East wins. Of course, he took over for Tom Crean, who's now at IU, and what a job he did, Anthony, with Marquette, and the job he is doing with them right now.
Well, he's done a great job. What I like about his team, when you watch them play, they play so hard, they play with great effort, and they run their stuff. And you know, the one thing about coaches in the Big East, they all have a style, and they all stick to it. You don't see a lot of deviation, and Buzz has put his stamp on his team.
Got a chance to talk to him today. By the way, he and Coach Cronin are actually great friends, are some of the youngest coaches in Division I basketball. And I know, Mark, you know Buzz quite well as Davis hits that three-pointer there. And Cincinnati, Mark, is looking pretty good here.
Well, Nancy Gates is sort of back in the game. Be interesting to see if Cincinnati can do a little bit of inside-out basketball now. Cincinnati knocking down some threes early. We expected that from Marquette, but not necessarily from the UC Bearcats.
Kubion in the lane. Hayward for 3. And that's good.
Beautiful penetrating dish right there as Kubion gets into a gap, and Lazar Hayward, not only a guy that can go down low and score, but also knocks down the 3-ball.
Well, Coach, the shot fake right there is what created the whole play. You go with the shot fake, get the penetration, draw in, and kick out. Great execution.
Hayward coming in averaging 18 points a game for the Golden Eagles. By the way, he ties a Marquette record for his 130th game that he has played in. Very impressive. Down to 6 on the shot clock. Down to 4. Dixon in the lane gets his own rebound, and he gets fouled, and he'll go to the line, and he'll shoot 2. Great hustle there, Anthony, by the Bearcats.
Well, throw it up on the glass and go get it, which is one of the keys that Coach pointed out early in the game, and that's what Dixon did. Put it up on the glass and rebounded his own miss.
Anthony, Deontay Vaughn is a senior, doesn't start the game today. I know Coach Huggins never disciplined you in that way, but I'm curious, how does a player prepare themselves when they're disciplined like that and don't start the second to last game of their senior year?
Well, you know, I would imagine that Vaughn probably knew coming into the game, so he mentally had an opportunity to prepare himself. So he knows this is a big game. It's real easy to get your juices flowing when the games are big like this.
So attitude shouldn't be an issue coming off the bench like this.
It shouldn't be.
Kubion for 3. Comes up short. There's Dixon to Vaughn to Davis for 3. In and out. Look at Dixon battling for the rebound. Great pass to Bishop. And he's through.
Cincinnati right now doing the job on the glass.
Remember, 4 out of every 10 misses end up back in white jersey's hands. The Cincinnati Bearcats one of the best at going to the offensive glass.
A 3-point field goal situation. Marquette 2 of 5 to Cincinnati, and we got a foul, and the basket's good. I'm going to count the basket foul on Rashad Bishop. Take another look at it again, Coach.
I love Jimmy Butler. He's the most improved player in the Big East now. This is a guy that was averaging only a couple points a game, just over 3 points a game and 2 rebounds 1 season ago. He's gone from being just another guy to a go-to guy for Marquette, averaging over double figures, over 6 rebounds a game. Jimmy Butler.
They had a nice game on Thursday night against Pittsburgh. 14 points, 7 rebounds against the Panthers. Checking in now for Marquette. 21, Joseph Fultz. There's some full court pressure here, Anthony, by Marquette.
Marquette, they'd like to play the game at a much faster pace than it is right now. It's to Cincinnati's tempo.
Gates turnaround jumper. He knocks that down. Yancey Gates averaging 10 points a game. And he has the hot hand, Anthony. You got to love that if you're Mick Cronin, right?
Well, you got to feed him the basketball in this game. They don't have anyone that can match up with him.
And look at the deep three by Darius Johnson-Odom. He has 8 points now.
Well, you got to guard him as soon as he comes over the bridge from Kentucky. That kid's got serious range. I've watched him on tape.
How long did you work on that line?
I've watched him on tape. Now seeing him in person, he's got deep range, and it's easy for him.
It is. You've got to get up in his chest, though. You've got to force him to put the basketball on the floor.
Johnson-Odom. Pressure on Davis. Dixon in the lane. Great ball movement. Gates reverse, can't get it to go. Gets his own rebound, and he gets fouled. He'll go to the line, and he'll shoot 2.
Coach, that's one you'd like to see the big fella just break the rim, right?
Well, and Yancey Gates, this is a guy that's the best big man out of Cincinnati since LaSalle Thompson. And if he can go up strong there and finish that play, but his shoulders are so wide. But Anthony, the thing I like about Yancey Gates, I thought early in the season, Cincinnati's best offense was when they ran it through Yancey Gates. And I know sometimes he has a lazy bone or two, but you know what? When he has the ball in his hands, there's no laziness in that young man. He gets after it.
McDonald's All-American from right here in Cincinnati as Bishop heads to the sideline. I mean, Anthony, you have covered Cincinnati for so many years, been a former player. You knew everybody wanted this young man. He decided to stay here close to home.
He certainly did, and it was a nice win on a recruiting trail for Coach Mick Cronin. And Gates has had an up and down season this year, but you're right, Coach. If they go through him, it seems like the offense runs much smoother.
And a turnover here by Marquette, their second turnover of the game. They come in averaging 10 turnovers a game here. It's Coach Williams and his basketball team. 15-14. Cincinnati with the 1-point lead with 12:27 left to play here in the first half. Here's Vaughn. Leader on this team. Davis for 3 again. His third three-pointer.
It's nice to see that he has found his stroke again. He went through a really, really bad shooting slump, and ever since the Notre Dame game on the road, he has shot the basketball well.
Cincinnati with its biggest lead.
And Marquette always probing, looking for gaps, looking for open shooters, and there it is.
Yeah, Joseph Pulse here with the three-pointer. And just like that, Marquette comes right back the other way, Anthony.
Well, you know, when I looked at their stats, it's got to be the only team in America where I've seen they've got probably 7 or 8 guys that are all shooting over 40% from beyond the arc. That's unheard of.
As we mentioned, they're ranked 4th in the country from action behind the arc. Vaughn, he'll take the 3. Can't get it to go. Here's Acker with the rebound. Acker over to Bikes for 3. That's short, but look at the follow there by Joseph Fultz.
And that's where you talk about defensive transition and Yancey Gates. Right there, Yancey Gates was the last guy to get back. If he's sprinting back, he's the biggest guy that gets the rebound, and that's been the criticism from Mick Cronin about his big guy. And listen, the guy has talent, and I love his game. If he can just learn to run a little bit harder and play just another 5% harder, he's an NBA player, no question.
Dixon blocked there by the Golden Eagles. Here's Acker. Acker right to the hoop. He gets fouled. He's going to go to the line, and he's going to shoot 2. Foul here on Davis. We've got a timeout here on the floor. 10:39 left to play here in the first half. Larry Davis getting the job done for Cincinnati from behind the arc.
Powerade Zero, the zero-calorie sports drink, now with Ion 4.
we're back here with 10:39 left to play in the first half. Marquette with a 1-point lead. Well, March Madness is just around the corner, so everybody has been following our insider, Joe Lenardi. He's part of ESPN's bracketologists, and he forecasts the NCAA tournament field in advance by applying to the RPI and scheduling to a team's current performance. Here's a look at the last four in here, guys. You see Rhode Island, Oklahoma State, Marquette, of course, and St. Mary's. Mark, your thoughts on what Joe has for the last four in the first four out?
Well, and that's what's at stake today as Marquette gets an opportunity to convince the selection committee that they are a better team on the road against Cincinnati. St. Mary's with Omar Samhan, one of the big guys that you don't hear a lot about in the West Coast Conference. Randy Bennett's done a great job with the Gales. Right now, our bracketologist who looks at objective information and then projects the NCAA tournament right 97% of the time, St. Mary's the last team in. You agree with that one, Anthony?
Well, at this moment I do, and I tell you, but Cincinnati, which is on the other side, first four out, they've got a great chance to improve their resume with a nice home win against a team that is already in the tournament. But more importantly, this would be, if Cincinnati could secure this win, the first win of a team above them in the conference.
That's right.
And then you've got DePaul coming in at home in the last three games of the regular season. Cincinnati's set to make a run against nationally ranked teams.
Exactly. You've got at West Virginia and at Georgetown. They've got Villanova coming in here, which is a similar team to Marquette in size. And so Cincinnati is kind of getting a look and a feel for a team that's going to field three guards that can really attack you.
Louis Sacker at the line. He gets both free throws to go. Senior, Hazel Crest, Illinois. Marquette on a 7-0 run right now in the last minute, 12 seconds.
I like it when Marquette goes to their full court man package. Look at the on-ball pressure by Acker. I love that attacking footwork defense from Buzz Williams.
Josh Stevenson, haven't heard too much from him, but this guy's been hot. Davis with the jumper, comes up short. Kubion with the rebound.
It was excellent defense by Marquette, chasing Davis off the three-point line.
Butler for three.
And you got to guard him. And he's got a great reputation of a guy that can knock down the three ball. And the Cincinnati defender backed off. Butler's going to knock that down.
Mick Cronin calls a quick timeout here. You talked about the Golden Eagles. Let's take a look at their resume and why they should be worthy of an NCAA tournament bid. And Anthony, when you look at their resume, what stands out to you?
Well, the quality wins. You got the Georgetown win and you've got the UConn win. But, their RPI is a little high. Not sure that is really a huge determining factor. But, when you look at it, eyeball test, to me, they're an NCAA team just from the eyeball test.
But what is the eyeball test? what should a college basketball team look like, Anthony? I mean, like I look at Northern Iowa, and somebody yesterday, one of my colleagues talked about that Northern Iowa did not pass the eyeball test.
Well, I disagree with that. See,
I do too.
The eyeball test for me, in watching them several times, it certainly passes. And they've got quality wins.
This whole eyeball test thing. Listen, if there was an eyeball test from my wife to me, I'd never be married. And I recruited way over my head on that deal. I don't like the eyeball test. Let's go with the objective information like Joe Lenardi does, our bracketologist. You with me, Pards?
I'm with you. I'm with you. I agree with that. But sometimes that's the intangible. Yeah. The eyeball, what you see out on the floor, how they compete. Are there wins and are there losses? When they lose on the road, are they close losses? Are they bad losses? Those are things that you look at.
I'll go with the eyeball test of how they play together, how they put their offense and defense together, their effort as a team, but not what they look like. And I think that's what some analysts are saying, well, those guys look like really good players.
Yeah.
Just like that, Cincinnati with a bad shot from Deontay Vaughn. Butler once again. Going right to the hoop. He's going to go to the line. He's going to shoot two.
I just love this kid's game. You talk about improvement, going from 3 points a game, just under 3 rebounds a game. And Jimmy Butler is a legitimate all-Big East candidate right now, 15 points a game, 6.6 rebounds. You saw his ability to shoot the three ball with 54%, 56 from the floor, shot selection, game intelligence. Jimmy Butler can play this game.
It's 26-18. Mick Cronin just called that timeout. You know, you took a look at the schedule for Marquette, and, you know, it doesn't matter who you play against. St. John's, Seton Hall, these teams, anybody can be beaten on any given night. As Davis in the lane, comes up short again.
Yeah, Seton Hall just tried to guard Jeremy Hazel sometime.
Look at the pass, and Butler not able to come down with it. Stevenson with the rebound. Cincinnati gets something to go here. Well, Marquette on a huge run here against the Bearcats.
Oh, Anthony, sorry about that. Right now, Cincinnati on the offensive end, they're not doing anything. Everything is dribble, drive. There's no pass into the post.
Offensive foul here on the freshman, Stevenson.
What do you think about this, Coach?
Well, Yancey Gates is sitting on the bench, and we've talked about his importance to the offense. You know, you need a great point guard to run your offense. I think that Cincinnati is challenged in that area. You need a post presence, and I think that Yancey Gates is that post presence, and all of a sudden, Kashmir Wright's going to check in for a little point guard play.
Anthony Calhoun along with Mark Adams and former Cincinnati basketball star Anthony Buford, and that's a three by Johnson Odom, and another timeout here by Mick Cronin. We are here at Fifth Third Arena, and Cincinnati got off to a good start here in this game, but after that, it has been all Marquette here in a huge game for both teams. Take a look at Cincinnati tournament resume. And Coach, you know, you look at this 15-10, their quality wins. Vandy, of course, went down to the wire yesterday against UK, Kentucky, a win against Maryland, but they have a lot of work to do here, don't they?
Well, they have a lot of work to do, but let's also remember the committee now doesn't consider the last 12 games.
That's right.
They're going to look at the full body of work, so that victory over Vandy, which is huge, and the victory over Maryland still counts in a big way in Cincinnati's favor.
It does, but when you looked at those numbers, you saw the RPI where it was compared to Marquette. But now here we are watching both teams. You tell me the eyeball test isn't working for you?
It's how they play. I'm with you.
There you go.
Marquette looks like the better team right now because of the way that they play.
Yeah, but you know what? Hey, I took the class. I believe you took the class as well.
Took it together.
We took it together. That's right. You know, it's who you play and who you beat. I mean, and you got to beat teams. And man, Cincinnati really having some problems around the basket.
Well, if you throw it into your big guy and they don't convert against smaller guys, it makes it really difficult.
Marquette coming in after a loss on Thursday to Pittsburgh. They had won 5 straight games after losing to Pittsburgh on Thursday. But when they can shoot the ball, and Mick Cronin told me that today, one thing that concerns him about this team, when they get hot from three-point range, and this young man here, Johnson Odom again, 13 points for him. It could be a long day for the Bearcats.
Remember, Deontay Vaughn did not start this game a coach's decision. The last 2 words as a coach you want to hear in February is coach's decision, and sit down your senior Deontay Vaughn. You got to wonder how it's affected this team as they've started this game today.
Davis short again. My goodness, Cincinnati really struggling from the field. 31-18.
Well, the way it has looked so far, you would think they would be down more. 13 points. I thought it was more.
Look at the fake here spin move by Hayward. He gets blocked. Cincinnati comes away with it.
And Marquette's so active on both ends of the floor. They've really put offensive pressure on you and defensive pressure on you, and right now it's really affecting Cincinnati.
Well, Lance Stephenson's getting 0 touches because of the defense of Marquette.
Bishop inside to Thomas. Thomas in trouble. Here's another 3 by Davis. And finally, they get on the board after that long stretch of trying to find a basket.
He loved the 3 ball. Really 6 out of every 10 of his attempts come from behind the line, and he's knocking them down here this afternoon.
Anthony, when you look at Cincinnati, for the players on the floor right now, it appears that they really don't have someone who can score.
Well, they're really struggling on the offensive end from a rhythm standpoint.
All right, we'll talk more about that. We got a timeout here on the floor. 6:19 left to play the first half. Darius Johnson Odom looking pretty impressive here against the Bearcats.
Powerade Zero, the zero-calorie sports drink, now with Ion 4.
We are back here at Fifth Third Arena with the Marquette Golden Eagles with a 10-point lead with 6:19 left to play here in the first half. And what a day it's been so far for Darius Johnson-Odom, Mark.
But we talked about Cincinnati had to guard the three ball or get drilled. And we're talking about Darius Johnson drilling it right here from downtown. And then puts it on the floor. That's the thing about him. He gives you a head fake, you go for it, and all of a sudden the shoulder slant to the easy deuce.
13 points, 5 or 6 from field goal range. And look at that, 3 for 3, only in 10 minutes. And by the way, he leads the Big East when it comes to three-point shooting. He's in first place in the Big East. And Anthony, what was the message there by head coach Mick Cronin? What did he tell his team during that timeout, you think?
Well, I'm pretty certain he wants them to guard the three-point line, as coach just pointed out. And you know, when you look at Johnson-Odom, when you look at the way he plays, I've watched him a couple of times now. He always goes left when he does put it on the floor. But you got to get on his left side. You got to get up close, chase him off the three, and don't let him penetrate left.
Vaughn back in the game, as well as Gates. Gates to Dixon in the lane, and that's nice ball movement there, coach.
When the offense runs through Yancey Gates, good things happen. Well-designed play by Mick Cronin. The reversal, the dump down, and the knife to the basket. Well executed.
Bench scoring there for both teams. Cincinnati 17-5. 6 out of 10 there on threes. Marquette to beyond. Up against Vaughn.
Well, you got a mismatch inside for Hayward versus Dixon off the switch.
Down to 7 on the shot clock. Down to 5. Down to 4. And a turnover here. Here's Bishop.
Well, what did they do? They forced Johnson-Odom to go right. What happens? You get a turnover. He's just not as good going that direction versus left.
Exactly what you said there. He would be the go-to guy here for Cincinnati. Trailing 31-23. Vaughn, tough jumper. And the senior gets on the board there. His first 2 points of the game.
Well, he did a really nice job that time, fanning off the screen. His guy went over the top. He faded to the corner and created the drive situation.
And Vaughn and Gates on the same side of the floor gives you defensive nightmares. You can't double, you can't help.
Deontay Vaughn scoring 1,700 points in his career, 400 assists with the Bearcats. Akron's in trouble. Butler down to 7 on the shot clock. Johnson-Odom, he'll take a deep 3. And that's nothing but air. Here's Wright. Dixon for 3. And Buzz Williams calls a timeout.
Been a game of runs so far. Both teams, you know, just kind of getting an offensive rhythm one way or the other. You see the penetration by Bishop, the kick out. And how about Dixon having his feet set, ready to shoot?
Whatever Coach Cronin told his team in that timeout, Mark, it apparently is working.
They're now making the extra pass. Think 4 possessions ago, Yancey Gates with the assist. Think about the reversal pass to Deontay Vaughn in the corner, and that time Dixon again gets a good look because of the extra pass. This is the type of offense that UC fans have been looking for, and this is as good of an offensive sequence as the Bearcats have had in a long, long time offensively, Anthony.
It certainly is, but how about where it all started? On the defensive end, they've really forced Johnson-Odom into some tough opportunities by making him go to his weak hand, his right hand.
Cincinnati on a 10-0 run in the last 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
I wonder if Marquette teammates, if they call him J.O. versus Johnson-Odom.
Well, you want to start that now? Here's Spikes. Inside here to Butler. More trouble. Wright with the rebound. Wright with the jumper. Gates with the follow rebound. Gates! And he puts it in. 31-30. 6 points now for Yancey Gates.
When he plays like that, he's tough to handle. You see him running full speed to the offensive end. Coach, you want to see him run full speed to the defensive end, right?
If he does both those things, Cincinnati wins.
Here comes the crowd. Hacker in the lane, short again. Cincinnati with a chance to take the lead.
Yates wants the ball low.
Dixon into Bishop, and he lays it in. Cincinnati with the lead.
The extra pass, the extra pass, the extra pass.
There you go.
Unselfish basketball by the Cincinnati Bearcats.
All keyed up with the penetration and kick.
Side of Hayward, and got a foul here on the Bearcats. Got a timeout here on the floor. 2:46 left to play in the first half. The Bearcats getting the job done with defense, and they're finding the basket right now.
Powerade Zero, the zero-calorie sports drink, now with Ion 4.
We're back here at Fifth Third Arena with Cincinnati with a 1-point lead, 2:46 left to play in the first half. Anthony Calhoun along with Mark Adams and Anthony Buford. And Cincinnati got off to a slow start in this game. They were down by 13 points. It was all Marquette. But man, what a difference a couple of minutes have made here for the Bearcats, Mark.
Well, the Bearcats got the ball inside the Yancey gates. They've done a good job that way. We expected Marquette to knock down the three ball. They're 6 for 10. But Anthony, right now, Cincinnati going through Yancey gates, making the extra pass, really made a difference.
It really has, and it started on the defensive end where they've really kind of shut the three-point shot down. They've gone on attack mode with penetration, making the extra pass, and they've gone inside the Yancey, kept the big fella involved.
Zara Hayward at the line. 6'6", senior out of Buffalo, New York. Averaging 18 points a game, only 4 points in this game. As we told you at the top of the broadcast, he had tied with Jarrell Neal for most games played at 130 for Marquette. Of course, today's Big East game is being produced by ESPN Regional Television. Double team here on right. He breaks through it. Great pass to Gates. Can't hang on to it. It's going to stay here, though. It's Cincinnati. Anthony, as I look at this Cincinnati team, it appears to me that they are playing better team basketball than what we saw when they started this game, right?
Yeah, they are, because they are getting the penetration and then they're moving the basketball, and that's really what's helped. And Gates has been the guy who's been involved.
He's made himself big inside. He's a target.
Here's Vaughn. Take a look at the Cincy leaders. Davis and Dixon with 9 points. Bishop for 3. He knocks that down. 7 points for Rashad Bishop out of Newark, New Jersey. And it's 35-33, Cincinnati.
If Rashad Bishop starts making threes, it's Christmas every day for the entire year in Cincinnati.
Well, 32% from behind the arc as Hayward comes up short. Vaughn with the rebound.
Well, you look at Cincinnati right now, they're 6 of 9 from three-point land.
Vaughn taking it right to the hoop. He gets fouled. He's going to go to the line. He's going to shoot 2. Mark, you got to love the aggressiveness. We take a look at Vaughn once again, taking it right to the basket.
Now, and that's senior leadership right there from Deontay. Vaughn did not start today on a coach's decision, but now he's starting to assert himself offensively. We're talking about a first-team Big East player just 2 seasons ago. And was third team last season, and frankly has not put up the numbers this year was expected.
Take a look at those numbers. You bring up a great point. First 20 games, averaging 12 points a game. Last 5 games, the difficult you see there as far as the field goal situation, shooting 29% there, Anthony.
Yeah, he has really struggled offensively, and it's kind of bled over into his free throw shooting. He's always been a pretty good free throw shooter, so it's just coming down to the end of the season. He's just surprised that the young man has struggled offensively.
So as a coach, you really do some soul searching as to why your senior is struggling.
Hacker comes up short with the three-pointer. Golden Eagles struggling from behind the arc here in this last 2 minutes.
Cincinnati now the team that's doing a lot of probing of opportunities to penetrate and pitch.
Cashmere right behind the back pass. Are you kidding me? To Gates.
That's showing some confidence right there from the young guy.
37-33.
Going from Marquette now, you've got to get quality touches for Jimmy Butler. Get Johnson Odom the basketball, clear out, let him make a play. Here he comes.
Under a minute left to play in the first half. 10 on the shot clock. Kubion down to 4. Here's the steal. Right to the hoop. He lays it in.
Does a great job of using the basket to shield the defender.
Cincinnati on a 21-2 run.
I think this is the college basketball environment that the Bearcats have been waiting for.
Johnson Odom needs a touch. There he is.
Down to 6. Johnson Odom in trouble. Down to 3. Gates with the block. 0.8 seconds left to play before halftime. Look at the pressure and the defense here by Mick Cronin and his basketball team. Coming up at halftime.
Should be Marquette ball.
It is Marquette's ball.
Yeah, we're going to straighten that out.
Coming up at halftime, the Big East Wire, Big East scores and news and highlights and stats. That's coming up at halftime. Your halftime report. 0.8 seconds left here. Toy Lloyd comes in the game
for defense on Jimmy Butler.
Johnson Odom trying to get it in. Kubion with the jumper, and that's no good. How about Cincinnati? What a way to end the first half as Buzz Williams' team saw Cincinnati go on a 21-2 run to end the first half. We're at halftime. It is Cincinnati 39, Marquette 33. And great teamwork, great passing as Gates gets the dunk there for Cincinnati. And Buford, you see it there, Anthony Buford. Just great team ball, right?
It certainly was. And the penetration, they really got into a nice rhythm where they could penetrate and pitch.
Powerade Zero, the zero-calorie sports drink, now with Ion 4.
As a soldier in the U.S. Army, you can have it all. Adventure, the chance to give something back to your country, and the kind of training that truly prepares you for the future. Are you up for it? There's Strong, and then there's Army Strong. Take the first step at GoArmy.com.
The ESPN360.com College Basketball Halftime Show is brought to you by the U.S. Army.
Now the key to a really good family calendar is sticky notes. Green can be groceries, girls' nights, or...
Today, you'll merge all your family calendars into one calendar on the Palm Pre Plus, the 3G smartphone smart enough for mom.
We are getting set for the second half. Cincinnati with a 39-33 lead here against Marquette. Anthony Calhoun along with Mark Adams and Anthony Buford. And Marquette ended the first half without scoring a basket for about 8 minutes. The last 8 minutes they didn't score a basket, but they started this game off really well in the first half, Marco.
Well, Marquette knows their three-point shooting ability, and they knocked it down consistently early in the first half. This is a Marquette basketball team that knocks down 42% of their shots from behind the arc. They're number 4 in the country. If Cincinnati could not defend the three ball well, then we talked about Cincinnati getting drilled. And early on, that's exactly what happened. But then, Anthony, the defense shored up, and Cincinnati started sharing the ball offensively.
Well, they certainly did. They finished the half with 14 field goals, 12 assists. How about that? 12 assists on 14 field goals. You see the penetration, the sharing of the basketball. Yancey Gates, nice pass right there. And then you turn around and you look at the skip pass, and how about the penetration and give it back to the guy who gave it to you. And so Cincinnati doing an outstanding job of passing the basketball.
Take a look at our first half statistics here and field goal situation. Both teams, you see Marquette 44%. How about Cincinnati shooting over 50% here in the first half? Three-point shooting of 6 of 13 for Marquette, and Cincinnati 6 of 9. And points off turnover, Mark, that's the difference appears in the first half, right?
Cincinnati really turned it up defensively. And Buzz Williams right now has to do a couple things. Number one, get Lazar Hayward more involved in the offense. And then defensively, get down a stance and stop somebody. They're getting up too many easy baskets.
Take a look at our star watch. You talked about Lazar Hayward, only 5 points. And Anthony, how about Stevenson here? No points for the freshman.
Well, not really involved in the game in the first half, but Cincinnati's winning, so you got to be happy with that.
What does Lance Stevenson need to do, though, in his half-court sets to get himself more touches?
Well, you know, sitting there on the bench can't do anything, so he's not starting here in the second half. I just think he needs to get better with moving without the basketball, and you talked about it. He's making C cuts instead of V cuts.
Cincinnati 11-2 when they have the lead at halftime. Marquette 1-4 when trailing at half. A huge game for both teams. They try to keep their NCAA tournament hopes alive.
Opening possession for Cincinnati. I'm going to try to get the ball to Yancey Gates for Marquette. Deny the ball in the post. There he is.
Gates against Hayward. Gates in the lane, and that's good again.
You got to double him. He's proven that he can score in a one-on-one situation. Marquette has to make an adjustment.
10 points down for Gates.
And if they do double him, his passing ability, he's shown it in the first half. Cincinnati has an answer for that. So Marquette's got their hands full with the big fella.
Johnson Odom, we saw him have a good first half. Down to 10 on the shot clock. Here's Butler in some trouble. Down to 6 on the shot clock. Butler for 3, and that is nothing but air. All right, Coach, so what did Buzz Williams tell his team at halftime? And here you go. You struggled going in the first half, the latter part of the first half going to halftime. What was his message to his team at the break?
I think he's got to be concerned defensively. Cincinnati's 6 for 9 from behind the arc, shot a very high percentage from two-point range as well. That's not Buzz Williams' Marquette basketball. He told his team to get down a stance and guard somebody right now, or else Marquette will get blown out of this building.
Dixon, tough shot. He's going to go to the line, and he's going to shoot 2.
Marquette starts everything on the defensive end. Their pressure, their attack defensive pressure is how they play. And you can see they're awfully soft, getting penetrating passes, penetrating dribble penetration into the paint.
And Coach, what you see is happening is Cincinnati is doing all their damage in the painted area. And when you can score, you know, within 15 feet of the basket, you give yourself a great opportunity, especially with your size advantage, to actually rebound the basketball too if you miss it.
Foul on Kubian, that's his second personal.
Well, you just look at Lazar Hayward, who's 6'6", next to Yancey Gates. There's a huge size disadvantage there for Marquette. So I think Lazar Hayward's got to work harder to get the basketball, be more aggressive.
Johnson Odom in the lane. He lays it in, counted the foul.
Coach, what happened there? He probed to the right. You see he crosses over, comes back left to his strong hand, and now he's able to make a play and finish with his offhand. But you see, he's just fabulous when he can go to his left side.
I like his low center of gravity off the dribble. He got so much lower than the defenders.
Johnson Odom, 6'2", sophomore out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Coming in averaging 12 points a game, well over that average here. 16 points here for Marquette.
Marquette now goes to their 3-2 zone.
Dixon from way downtown. 12 points now for Deion Dixon.
You're talking about a guy who shoots 21% from behind the arc. you get him catching fire from the three-point land, and it's good night.
This is a huge game, as we mentioned, for both teams, but Cincy, and I know you agree with this, Anthony, as Acker takes the three, comes up short. Johnson Odom with the rebound, he puts it in, but the point I was trying to make is you know with Cincinnati here, if you're on the bubble, you better take care of business here at home, right, Anthony?
No question about it. Have to win there. As you saw the numbers, three-point shooting. We talked about how good Marquette was from behind the arc. Right now, Cincinnati has turned the tables in that department.
7 for 10 from behind the arc. The shot clock did that move. That's the reason for the stop of play.
Got a shot clock situation here. Mike Kitts and Gary Prager are trying to figure out, and you can see the shot clock not moving at all.
Neither is the clock.
That's right.
The clock, nothing moved.
You know, we talked about how both teams need this win today, and you know, you look at their upcoming schedules, and you know, for both teams, you got to come away with a win today here, Mark, because you got 4 more games left to play here until the Big East tournament. But the road's not easy for either of these teams, right?
Well, let's take a look right now at the situation on the court. We've been playing basketball, and the clock did not move throughout that possession. So now the job of the officials is to go ahead and time the play by hand. They can use a stopwatch and review the play in live motion and then take the appropriate amount of time off the clock.
See Mike Kitts, the veteran official. It's 17-36 on the game clock as Mike will come over here, Kitts, and tell us exactly what happened.
Basketball scored at 17:40.
Okay.
Basically what you were talking about, Coach.
They timed it, took the clock, took the seconds off the clock, and away we go. And I'll tell you what, if you're a fan right now, start watching the clock. If it happened once, it'll happen again, I guarantee it.
Is that operator error, or is it a mechanical error?
Gates turnaround jumper.
The operator says mechanical. The scoreboard says it's the operator.
12 points for Gates. Talk about someone not having problems, though. No error there with Gates. Another basket. 46-38. Cincinnati with the lead.
If Marquette could somehow mix in Lazard Hayward with Johnson Odom, they'd have a very good mixture going in this game. But Lazard Hayward totally absent here so far.
Down to 5 on the shot clock. Here's a 3. And that 3 is good.
That's Marquette basketball. That's what they do. Penetrate and pitch. Keep it simple.
You have all those quick guards darting in the lane like that. It makes it tough to help and recover, doesn't it?
And he's still here by Johnson Odom. He gets fouled by Dixon. His first personal foul. Davis checks in the game here for Cincinnati. Take a look at that 3 one more time.
Well, there's the penetration and the pitch right there, and you are seeing Marquette basketball in one possession. That's what they do as well as anybody in the country. And Nick Cronin now has to come up with a formula to take away that dribble penetration as they did in the last 10 minutes of the first half.
Well, they're doing a lot of switching defensively because they can size-wise, but sometimes in the switch, you get caught out of position and you give up the penetration lane.
Julian picks up his dribble. There's Acker against Wright. Acker has the easy lane. A block there by Gates. Butler gets the rebound. He puts it in. It appears to me, Mark, that Marquette is really starting to find its way here in the last couple of minutes.
Well, you got to play to your strengths. And Marquette's strengths is to put the ball on the floor, get into gaps, and make plays.
Bishop, they'll take the three. Butler with the rebound. Marquette with a chance to tie the game. Johnson Odom right to the hoop. And he lays it in. 46-45.
I rest my case. They can get by people.
And that's one thing that, Coach Cronin told me today. He was concerned about their shooting ability and the fact that they are so quick, Anthony.
Well, they're showing right here in the early part of the second half that they're tough to handle off the dribble.
Timeout here on the floor. 15-16 left to play here in the second half. The Golden Eagles trying to work their way back in this game.
Powerade Zero, the zero-calorie sports drink, now with Ion 4.
15-16 left to play in the second half. Cincinnati with a 1-point lead. Let's go inside the play. Mark?
Watch Darius Johnson. Just watch his shoulders. Watch how low he gets for leverage. He's lower than the defender there. He's lower than both defenders there. And splits the defenders. Marquette, the number 4 3-point shooting team in the country. But watch the explosion. There's low again. That left shoulder dip. Takes it right with the right hand. That's Marquette basketball in attack mode, Anthony. Very dangerous for Cincinnati.
It really is, and they've got to get that under control because Johnson Odom has hurt them all game with that, and now once he gets you on his heels, then he stops and pulls the three on you, which he's very good at shooting that. So right now he's got Cincinnati's defense where he wants them.
Look at those numbers there by Darius Johnson Odom. 20 points. 2 points off the tie, his career high of 22. He did that against Providence. And a turnover here by Cincinnati. And we're going back the other way. Anthony Calhoun along with Mark Adams and Anthony Buford. We are here at the Fifth Third Arena in Cincinnati, Ohio. Cincinnati coming in 15-10 overall and 6-7 in conference play. Marquette 16-9 and 7-6 in the Big East. Both of these teams on the bubble as they approach March Madness, and an offensive foul on Marquette, and Coach Williams can't believe it, Mark.
A little push off right there, and a lot of times you'd play on, but the official right on top of the call.
Anthony, we saw when Cincinnati took the lead in this game in that first half, the latter part of the first half, they were for the most part getting Yancey Gates involved. Is that the key right now to go back to him?
Well, that was a big key, but also a big key was good point guard play also.
Stevenson trying to get the rebounds, going to stay here with Cincinnati. Take a look at Cincinnati's tournament resume. As we mentioned, they're 15-10 overall, conference 6-7. Schedule strength here, Mark. You got to like that, though, 19.
Well, and of course, Joe Lenardi all over it, our resident bracketologist who uses all that objective information to project the NCAA tournament. 97% right at a time.
That's right. Talking about our insider, Joe Lenardi, ESPN's bracketologist. He had Cincinnati out as of today, but I had to believe a win today against Marquette. We'll have to bring them in. Here's a three by the guy who's had the hot hand, but he comes up short. Here's Vaughn. Vaughn right to the hoop, and he lays it in. Deontay Vaughn, 4 points now for the senior out of Indianapolis, Indiana.
And Cincinnati trying to score early in the possession, not wanting to play against Marquette's defense.
Hayward struggling again. Can't get it to go. Vaughn trying to work through traffic. Stevenson for three. Nothing but air.
Not sure that Stevenson really wanted that shot attempt right there. Hasn't played well so far in this game. He's just looking to get something up on the glass, it looked like.
And he shoots just over 19% from the three-point line as well.
Butler in the lane and going to count it, and a foul. Mark, that was a nice move there by Jimmy Butler.
Well, you start to sense that these two teams understand the critical importance of this game. Deontay Vaughn going 94 feet. That's what made him all Big East first team in his sophomore season. And Jimmy Butler just uses Yancey Gates off the bounce. Mismatch, take the big guy, lower your shoulder, take it to the rim.
He's a tough cover for Cincinnati's bigs. And as you get Gates going out of the game, you get Toyloy, who's really struggled to guard Butler also. He's just a matchup nightmare for Cincinnati. They've done better when they've had Bishop on Butler.
And Butler completes the three-point play.
The most improved, excuse me, Anthony, the most improved player in the Big East, Jimmy Butler.
Last year, Butler averaged about 6 points a game. What a difference a year makes. Coming in, averaging 15 points a game for the Golden Eagles. There's Stevenson.
Stevenson really having a difficult time with the smaller, quicker players.
Vaughn, great pass, Toyloy.
Vaughn doing a nice job of penetrating, puts the defense in spin cycle, and hands one off.
Beautiful slip.
Butler underneath, he gets fouled. He's back at the line again. You know, there's been so much talk about Vaughn and the fact that he hasn't been that consistent. But Anthony, you got to love this, and your coach Cronin, the fact that he is finding the open player to make something happen.
He did a nice job of settling the offense down and making a play, and that's what you need from your senior point guard. You need him to make plays at the end of shot clocks.
Back in the game for Cincinnati, there's Thomas. As Bishop will head to the bench there, and Fultz coming in for Marquette. Today's Big East game is being produced by ESPN Regional Television.
And the selection committee members are all watching. These are two teams battling it out for possible at-large bids.
That was a tough shot by the freshman, Lance Stevenson, getting his first 2 points in the game. 6'5" freshman out of Brooklyn, New York. Cincinnati with a 4-point lead. You know, Mark, you bring up a good point because I talked to Joe Lenardi today. I was communicating with him. He said this is the biggest game of the day, he felt like, because there was so much on the line for both of these teams.
Well, both of them battling it out for probably some final at-large bids. And this game will resonate with the selection committee. They'll remember this matchup.
Acker in the lane. Acker, nice pass. Fultz with a nice reverse. He lays it in.
Well, Cincinnati really worked hard defensively. I was watching Toyloy. Big fella was moving his feet, trying to stay with the smaller guys, and the quickness just, in the end, did them in.
Lance Stevenson really wants the basketball. He wants to make a play.
See what we can do here. Against Bikes, Stevenson, in and out.
It's a lot more assertive, though, here in the second half. He wants the ball.
Well, he thinks he can take the smaller guy into the paint. May have gotten hit on that shot attempt, but he is being awfully aggressive.
Bikes, trying to get Bikes here with a push-off. He pushed off on Stevenson. 11:06 left to play in the second half. Cincinnati with the 2-point lead.
Powerade Zero, the zero-calorie sports drink, now with Ion 4.
We're back here at Fifth Third Arena with 11:06 left to play in the second half. Cincinnati with a 2-point lead as head coach Mick Cronin and his Bearcats have a nice lead here against the Marquette Golden Eagles. Take you coast to coast now with the national headlines. The Butler Bulldogs under the direction of Brad Stevens with a 17-game winning streak as well. Along with them, of course, Murray State, and then Mick Cronin, of course, he coached at Murray State. Mark, spent 3 years there. During his time there, had a winning percentage over 74%. Pretty impressive.
Well, very impressive. And Billy Kennedy, who's now the head coach at Murray State on a 17-game winning streak with Ivan Aska, Denaro, Thomas. They lead the Ohio Valley Conference. And how about Butler knocking off Siena? Speaking of bubble teams, we've got 2 of them right here today. And Siena loses at Butler. I think that pretty much eliminates Siena, I believe, unless they obviously win the MAAC Conference Championship.
I agree with you, Coach. I think there's 3 teams really. You look at Northern Iowa, Butler, and Wichita State that have really strong cases to get in if they don't win their conference tournaments.
And, of course, Gonzaga as well out in West Coast Conference.
Of course, you saw the Bayonne. Mick Cronin, Davis takes the 3. That's a 2. Check that. That's a 2-pointer. But Mick Cronin, of course, has his dream job. He's from Cincinnati, and he spent 3 years with Murray State. Hayward double team. And the tip in there. Got Fultz. He's got 9 points now.
And Fultz doing a nice job of getting on the glass as Hayward is really struggling against Cincinnati's length.
Looking right in the lane. And an offensive foul. Call on Kashmir Wright.
And that's leadership right there by Lazar Hayward. Okay, so you're not scoring. You don't hang your head. You step right in and take it right on the chin. That's called leadership, and that's why Marquette is playing right now. Good basketball, won 5 out of their last 6. Remember, they opened up with Villanova twice, Georgetown, West Virginia, lost some close games, but yet here they are. They're preening for an opportunity for the NCAA tournament.
Well, it's such an important basketball game for both teams. You see, they're both laying it on the line right now.
Hayward for 3. Butler with the rebound. Butler in the lane and an offensive foul on Jimmy Butler. We are here at Fifth Third Arena. Anthony Calhoun along with former Division I basketball coach. Take a look here. The offensive foul on Butler. Mark Adams here and former Cincinnati basketball star Anthony Buford in a game that both teams need to win as they make a push for March Madness coming up next month.
It's a trap by Marquette.
Dixon for 3. Gates trying to get the rebound. Here's Hayward. Acker back the other way. He'll pull up. He'll take the 3, and he knocks it down. 57-56. Marquette back on top now.
Well, the press didn't get the turnover, but it forced a quick shot from Cincinnati and allowed Marquette to get out and play in space.
Under 10 to play here.
When Cincinnati really standing around right now offensively.
Bishop for 3. He can't get it to go.
They're not throwing it inside like we talked about. They're standing around the perimeter shooting 3s. They've fallen in love with it because they made so many early.
Marquette making a big comeback here against Cincinnati. They're doing it without their star Hayward. And a turnover here by Jones Soto. Let's take a look at the Big East leaders brought to you by PNC. Of course, leading the way, Big East 3-point field goal situation coming into today's game. That's the Big East situation for the season. You see Odom Johnson there, number 1 in the Big East at 49%. Very, very impressive there. Second half, 3-point field goals, 2 of 7 for Marquette, 1 of 5 for Cincinnati here in the second half. Did a better job from behind the arc Cincinnati did in the first half. Here's Davis, tough shot. And that's going to stay here with Cincinnati. Mark, what has been the difference here, and why has Marquette been able to battle back in this game to have the lead here against Mick Cronin and his Cincinnati Bearcats?
Well, for Marquette, they've been in attack mode offensively. They've been able to get into gaps and make plays and play that Marquette 3-point oriented basketball off the bounce. And I think that Cincinnati has gotten away from what got them the lead in the first half. Get the ball to Yancey Gates, share the basketball, get some movement offensively.
Speaking of Gates, there he is. Spin move. He comes up short again.
And he didn't have to change his shot right there. He's the biggest guy on the court.
It was surprising to see him do that. He has a tendency to play that way, though.
Here's a steal by Davis. Since he's got some numbers, Dixon to the hoop. Can't get it to go. Tip in by Gates.
It's surprising just how quickly Gates transitions to that offensive end. You know, if they could get him going both directions, like you mentioned, Coach, he'd be a serious force.
And he can run.
14 points down for Gates.
Look at the ball go from side to side by Marquette. That's a great job sharing the basketball. That ball went from A, B, C to D to E to F for the easy shot. Bingo, bango, bongo. Next thing you know, they're shooting the basketball. Well done by Marquette.
Joseph Fultz coming in averaging 3 points a game. Has 11 points here in this game against Cincinnati. Marquette back on top. Here's a steal. And Johnson Odom comes up short. Fultz once again right there, and he puts it in. Can they get somebody on this guy?
I tell you, he in the last possession, he went from one side of the floor to the other side of the floor and was rewarded with the jumper. And then you get Cincinnati not coming down and running transition. Marquette doing an excellent job of punishing them.
Oh yeah, it's big.
Now the key to a really good family calendar is sticky notes. Green can be groceries, girls' nights, or...
Today, you'll merge all your family calendars into one calendar on the Palm Pre Plus, the 3G smartphone smart enough for mom.
What a game you are watching here in Cincinnati between the Bearcats and the Golden Eagles. Marquette with a 3-point lead. We take a look at the Big East standings, and in case you're just joining us, Villanova took on Pittsburgh today. Villanova loses, so Syracuse is in first place in the Big East standings. By the way, the top 4 teams, Mark, they get double buys for the Big East tournament.
Going for Marquette and Cincinnati. They're right now in 7th and 8th, and as we take a look at Joe Lunardi's bracketology, there you see these 2 teams in this game. Marquette right now, Joe Lunardi, our resident bracketologist, has them in, and Cincinnati, one of the teams out. When you take Cincinnati versus, let's say, a St. Mary's, Anthony, how do you compare the 2?
Well, how do you compare the 2? Yeah, you got to look at their resumes, the numbers now. But you and I talked about the eyeball test, and we disagree on that in some aspects. But you know, if you're going to go 8, 9, 10 teams, the teams that are probably in that 7 to 9 range in the Big East are all probably about the same. So do you step outside and you go with the St. Mary's? And I think you do. So,
I've seen both Cincinnati and St. Mary's over the last week. On a neutral court, I think St. Mary's wins if Cincinnati doesn't give Yancey Gates the ball.
Bishop missing that dunk.
Well, when Cincinnati doesn't work through Gates, a lot of times they experience problems on the offensive end. They've got to spread teams out and try and get their penetration and pitch going, similar to what Marquette does.
Dixon made some big threes for the Bearcats. Here's Davis for 3. Comes up short. Thomas with the rebound. Thomas back to the hoop. Can't get it to go.
He got away with a push right there.
He sure did. We talked about Joe Lunardi, of course. He's our insider for the ESPN bracketologists.
How do you get 97% right?
You know, I was going to mention
that.
The past decade, he has successfully predicted 329 of 340 at-large teams. One thing for sure, the man knows what he's talking about.
Well, he doesn't use eyeball tests.
No, right. Objective evaluation. Objective.
Down to 4 in the shot clock. They got to get a shot off. Kubiak for 3. Here's Vaughn back the other way. Vaughn over to Davis. Davis, great pass. And Bishop lays it in. 61-60. Marquette, 1-point lead.
That's how Cincinnati got going in the first half. That little extra pass, that attack mode offense.
Everything started on the defensive end, though. They were very solid the last 10 minutes of the first half. We'll see if they could duplicate the same effort here late in this half.
Working down that shot clock again. Down to 9 on the shot clock. Johnson Odom already with 20 points in this game. He'll take the 3.
This game is simple. If Cincinnati can take away dribble penetration from Marquette, they win the game.
Oh, look at the move by Vaughn.
And Vaughn probing for an opening. He saw it and kicked in the accelerator.
Timeout, Marquette. Well, all season long, guys, Champion Apparel has been showcasing the tradition and history of the Big East Conference. Today, let's take a look at Cincinnati Bearcat legend, and I know, Anthony, you know him well. Kenyon Martin, as a sophomore, he became the first Bearcat in 31 years to have a triple-double. That was the first of 3 straight. Of course, Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year. Anthony, you played here for Cincinnati. What did you like most about his game?
Well, what I really liked was his improvement from his junior to senior year. His confidence level went through the roof as he had a great summer in between those 2 years. And he came in and he just decided he wanted to be the best player in college basketball that year. And he did it on both ends of the floor, played with maximum effort, was a treat to watch.
Of course, he was the #1 choice in the 2000 NBA draft by the New Jersey Nets. Champion is how you play. All right, Mark, so during that timeout, what was the goal by Coach Williams to take that timeout when he tells us to?
Offensively, get Darius Johnson-Odom the basketball and attack the basket. Don't settle for a 3 unless it's off the dribble.
Side of Hayward, might have got away with a walk with the left hand, struggling again. Can't get it to go. Bishop with the rebound.
But Ibrahim Thomas run.
Thomas wide open, and he lays it in.
Well, Cincinnati has changed it up. Instead of playing methodical, they've gone with early offense.
Here comes the crowd. Johnson Odom, and they got a foul here on the Golden Eagles. We've got a timeout here. 3:53 left to play here in the second half. Thomas laying it in. Cincinnati with a 3-point lead.
Now the key to a really good family calendar is sticky notes. Green can be groceries, girls' nights, or...
Today, you'll merge all your family calendars into one calendar on the Palm Pre Plus, the 3G smartphone smart enough for mom.
Okay, we are back here at Fifth Third Arena with 3:53 left to play in the second half. Cincinnati with a 3-point lead, and we talked about how there's a lot on the line for both of these teams. And Marquette, their tournament resume, overall 16-9 conference, 7-6. RPI, is that a big concern to you there, Mark? 70?
Well, it sure is at 70, but it still allows them to do some damage here coming down the stretch. The good news for Marquette, you're in the Big East. You can always improve your RPI when you're playing against people who are in the top 50 nearly every night, it seems.
Look at the Big East bubble teams. You talked about Marquette, Cincinnati right there as well, Connecticut, Notre Dame. I have to believe that in South Florida, they're pretty much done unless they do something big in the Big East tournament. The fact they lost yesterday at home, Anthony.
Yeah, and that was a tough loss. You're at home. You got to win those ball games. You know, Coach, here's one thing I got. They give Marquette a quality win against Connecticut. Cincinnati has beaten Connecticut twice. You know, plus they've got the win against Vandy, and you also take a look at the win at Maryland. You would think their resume would be pretty strong.
Thomas with the rebound.
I think Cincinnati's resume is very strong. And it's because of those early season victories, the Vanderbilt, Maryland, because now the committee doesn't just evaluate like the last 12 games. They really look at the entire body of work. That's a change from recent years.
Zar Hayward, man, is he having a tough day. 1 of 10 from the field.
Dangerous pass. See the Marquette defense picking up.
Break of action here.
You called it, Coach. The clock. Said if it happens once, it'll happen again.
You did call it. As Mike Kitts goes over to the scores table.
it's amazing how many different arenas we all go to and the clock doesn't operate properly. Yeah. They will be. And so again, when the clock stops, now you can go ahead and time that until the actual whistle comes, and then that time will be subtracted off the clock. And that went a long, long time. This is reviewable. And the officials have a stopwatch that's available to them. In the truck, run it in regular time, and I'll time it with you. And we can time it multiple times. The official will time it multiple times.
We're going to take a break. We'll come right back to Cincinnati, the Bearcats with a 3-point lead.
This line is unbroken. It carries a legacy of commitment that lives in African-American Marines, yesterday and today. Celebrate that legacy at ourhistory.marines.com. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Today's Big East game has been brought to you by Oppenheimer Funds, the right way to invest, and by Champion is how you play. We are back here at Fifth Third Arena with Cincinnati with a 3-point lead. And Coach Mark, I know you had a chance to help out the officials in that situation. We had an issue with the clock stopping, and what's the latest?
Well, in that situation, you can time the actual play with a handheld stopwatch, and I timed it myself at 12 seconds. And so you take that 12 seconds off the clock. We're at 3:04.
All right, so 3:04 left to play here in the second half. 6 seconds, though, on the shot clock.
Great job, Coach, putting the stripes on.
How about that? That's what you call a veteran, former Division I head basketball coach.
You know what? Every assistant coach should have a stopwatch on the bench to do exactly what we just did.
Yeah, but that's interesting. Marquette comes out and fouls immediately.
Very surprising.
Gives them a new shot clock.
How surprised are you by that, Anthony?
You would think they would try and make them take a tough shot instead of fouling in that situation, unless they wanted to get closer to the bonus.
That's what we coaches call brain cramp.
And just like that, turnover here by Vaughn.
Now it looks real smart.
9 turnovers now for Cincinnati. Under 3 minutes to play. Both of these teams fighting for their lives to have a chance to play for the NCAA tournament. Johnson Odom to the hoop. Can't get it to go. Thomas with the rebound.
Thomas's length right there affecting Johnson Odom.
There's Dixon. There's Johnson Odom.
But who would have thought with 2:25 to go, Yancey Gates and Lance Stevenson both sitting on the bench for Cincinnati. Two of the better offensive weapons for the Bearcats throughout this season.
Field goal situation, down to 7 on the shot clock, down to 6. Wright's got to get it off here, down to 3. Wright in trouble to Thomas. Oh, he couldn't get it to go. Hayward with the rebound. Marquette back the other way. Under 2 to play.
It's all about on-ball defense for Cincinnati. If they can take away the dribble drive, they'll win this game. If they cannot, they lose.
Kubion for 3! 64! Timeout here by Mick Cronin. And what a 3, Anthony. What a 3 by Kubion.
How about the guts to catch and shoot in that situation? I mean, he's a good 2 feet behind the three-point line, and he doesn't even hesitate. Lets it go. Lots of confidence.
He was 6 for 6 from 3 versus Georgetown earlier this season. Kubion's one of those go-to guys that has experience. He's been to the NCAA tournament. He's used to taking and making big shots.
What a game we've had here at Fifth Third Arena. So much at stake here for these teams. And Anthony, you've been a former player here at Cincinnati. I mean, what's the mindset for these teams? You know a lot's on the line. I mean, how do you get yourself ready for a game like this?
Well, you've got to go in with the mindset of being aggressive. You know, one thing Cincinnati cannot do is get tentative in this situation. They've got to continue to attack and play aggressive in their own building. This victory, this win is one they've got to have, because you just can't rely on trying to beat Georgetown, Villanova, and West Virginia at the end of the season.
Got to take care of business here at home.
NCAA selection eyeballs are watching this game right now. That's how big this game is. Well, you got to get the ball to Deontay Vaughn. You got to figure out a way.
Wright takes the three.
Bad shot.
Davis with the rebound, and he puts it in. 66, 64, 13 points now.
That's not good offense at the end of the game like that, Coach.
Timeout here by Marquette. I would have thought that the ball would have been in the hands, as you mentioned, of Deontay Vaughn.
But how about this, Coach? Where is Yancey Gates? Wouldn't you think that you would want to bring him in the game and play through him?
There's got to be something we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Yancey Gates not in the game. He's performed well offensively. That was a forced shot right there. Cincinnati gets bailed out with the heads-up play on the offensive rebound. But now Marquette. And Marquette has a lot of options, and they have game-winning options. Remember, Marquette, the #4 3-point shooting team in the country at 42%. Johnson Odom, a guy that can knock down the long-range ball. Maurice Aker, another guy that can knock it from long range. David Kubiak, who just went for 3. If I'm Buzz Williams, I'm saying get into gaps, guys, and make plays. And Lazar Hayward, you haven't done anything for us all day. You better get an offensive rebound if we miss it.
You know, you just saw that graphic about the tight games for Marquette. Already this year at West Virginia, they lost by 1 point. At Villanova, lost by 2 points. Lost at home to Villanova by 2 points. I mean, you go on and on and on about Marquette, and here they are down by 2 points. If you take a look at Gates and Stevenson, as you talked about, Gates having a great game, 14 points, 6 of 9 from field goal range. But once again, the Golden Eagles find themselves in a close game, a game, Mark, that they have to have as they try to keep their NCAA tournament hopes alive.
And they had heartbreak losses. I go back to what I think was the best Big East game of the year when you had Marquette and West Virginia. And Deshaun Butler knocked down that huge shot to beat Marquette. But to Buzz Williams' credit, that team resurrected itself, and here it sits with an opportunity for a road win to help cement an opportunity for the NCAA tournament. Doesn't get any better than this in February.
You're right about that. What a way to send a message to that selection committee. Getting a critical win on the road here at Cincinnati.
Here's one thing to keep an eye on, though. Cincinnati has not played well at the end of games. You look at the St. John's game, and here in their own building, gave it up pretty close to Providence. So how they execute here in the last minute of this ball game, very, very important.
Johnson Odom almost turns it over. Kubiak right there. He'll take the 3. Comes up short. Rebound here by Wright. 43 seconds left to play. Foul here on Hayward. That's his 3rd personal.
And that's their 6th team foul right there. They've got to foul another time to get Cincinnati to get into the bonus. So the ball will go out of bounds, which is why they fouled in that last possession.
16 foul. 44 seconds left to play.
Inbounds have been a problem for Cincinnati. You know, Marquette's going to be hunting for steals.
Well, I would think about playing about 10 seconds of this possession defensively, looking for traps.
Thomas, he gets fouled by Acker. So he'll go to the line. He'll shoot a 1-and-1. That was probably the guy you want to foul. Only shooting 54% from the free throw line, Mark.
Yeah, smart play right there. I think if it would have gone to anybody else, we would have seen a trap and go for the steal. But since they did a good job of denying and inviting the ball to Thomas, heads-up play.
He's 2 for 2 at the line today.
Thomas talked about toughness a couple of games ago. This is where you got to stand up and stick free throws.
And he gets the first one to go. Big free throw to the liking there of his teammates.
And to Marquette, 3 points is absolutely nothing. The number 4 3-point shooting team in the country.
And they've got a lot of guys that can deliver the three.
Yeah, and he misses the second. 3-point lead here by Cincinnati.
It's all about on-ball footwork for Cincinnati. Can they take away the dribble penetration of Marquette?
7-point differential between the shot clock. That three-pointer there by Hayward. What a three. 8 points for the senior. And just like that, we've got a tie game.
That's your guy, Coach. He came up big.
He did. He came up big. We were just asking for an offensive rebound earlier, but again, a big guy that can knock down shots. Lazar Hayward, who's been quiet all day. A little pick and pop right there, and he just showed tremendous patience, waiting for the defender to go by, and he's balanced, great extension, and waved goodbye, Lazar Hayward.
And I think he sent that message to you guys right here. You've been on him all day, all day. And how about that? He hits the three to tie the game up with 27.5 seconds left to play. Marquette, as you mentioned, I tell you, we know they can get the job done from behind the arc. Fourth in the nation at 41%, about 42% shooting from behind the arc. And, you know, that three, how big has the three-pointer been in this game of basketball?
Well, it's been huge, especially for a team like Marquette. That's why they're in position to possibly earn an NCAA at-large bid if they don't win the Big East tournament. Now for Cincinnati, with this group of players on the floor, I think, Anthony, you got to give it to Deontay Vaughn. He's your senior. You got to give it to him.
You do. He has to have the basketball in his hands. But remember now, early in the game, he struggled from the foul line. So if they elect to foul to try and get the ball back to maybe win it, then you know Cincinnati, they could have some issues here, but we'll see. It looks like they're going to let them play for the last shot and maybe play for overtime.
Here's Wright for Cincinnati. Game tied up at 67 apiece. 14 seconds. Going to put in the freshman's hands. Down to 7. Wright in some trouble. Here's Bishop for 3. Can't get it to go. Rebound by Kubion. And we're going to overtime. So much on the line for both of these teams. And how fitting. We go to overtime. Tied at 67 apiece. You guys having some fun?
Absolutely. Let's play some more.
We got some overtime action for you right after the break.
So what's the problem?
It's your blades, pal.
Oh, man, I should have known.
Even the best blades get worn down. When that happens, it's not as comfortable, see? When the strip turns white, you should think about changing it for a smoother ride.
Gillette Fusion. Fresh blade, more comfortable shave.
You look at what Joe Lunardi has said. Today, this game might be the biggest game to watch. So you're right. The selection committee's eyeballs squarely focused in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincinnati in the home white, Marquette in the visiting blue. If you just joined us, Lazar Hayward, who has been struggling all day long, hits a critical three-pointer to send us into overtime here between Marquette and Cincinnati.
This feels like an 8 versus 9 NCAA tournament game.
Right about that. Over and back called here on Davis. It's going to turn things over here to Marquette.
It's very surprising at what Cincinnati has gone to offensively here late in the game. They had so much more movement when they were throwing the basketball inside and moving it around. It's almost like they're going to dribble out the clock and then try and go pick and roll.
Well, and Lance Stevenson and Yancey Gates, two of the better offensive weapons for Cincinnati, sitting on the bench for a long, long time.
Of course, both teams get 2 timeouts here in this overtime. We've had 11 lead changes, 8 ties in this game. Here's Butler. A nice pass to Hayward. And look at this, the senior from Buffalo, New York, starting to step up here. 10 points now for him.
Scored the last 5 points, all of them huge for Marquette. Watch the white jerseys stand.
Side of Thomas. Thomas against Hayward, a nice turnaround, Jay, for the big fella.
It's so surprising that they haven't thrown the ball in there, for the most part of the game. You've got a size advantage. Work through your advantage.
Zacher inside to Butler. And a jump ball is going to stay here with Marquette. Anthony, you bring up a good point. Take a look at Coach Williams there. How surprised are you, though, that they have not gone inside more to the big fella in Thomas?
Well, Thomas and Gates are two different type of players. It's hard to throw it inside when your big guy that you really want to throw it into is sitting on the bench. And they really haven't tried to use Thomas that way. But still, 7 feet, there isn't anyone else out on the floor. He can get any shot he wants by the paint, so you got to feed him.
And there's probably good reason why Yancey Gates and Lance Stevenson aren't in the game. We just don't know. It's a coach's decision.
5 on the shot clock. Butler in the lane. He's going to go to the line, and he's going to shoot 2. Foul on Thomas.
And Jimmy Butler doing a nice job of penetrating, and watch him jump into the defender to create the contact and force the official to make a decision.
Johnson Odom at the line, a 63% free throw shooter, and that's his first miss of the game. He was 6 for 6 prior to that free throw.
To Lance Stevenson's credit, he's up on his feet right now. He's cheering for his teammates. And you've got to admire his attitude sitting there on the bench.
I think as a team, they realize how big this game is. This one, they've had a series of them coming down the stretch, and this one right here, probably the granddaddy of them all at the current moment.
Davis, the jumper. Thomas trying for the rebound. The Golden Eagles come away with it. Crowd looking for a foul.
And Davis has really struggled on the 2-pointers. He's been great shooting 3, but has really struggled with the 2-point shot.
There's the guy you want with the ball.
Johnson Odom right to the hoop. And we've got traveling here. And Johnson Odom. 11 turnovers now for Marquette.
Looked like he was on an active dribble right there.
I tell you what, he's difficult to handle though when he's going to his strong hand.
He walked. He must have carried the ball with him.
Here in overtime, Cincinnati and Marquette. Here's Vaughn. Can't get it to go. Thomas with the rebound. Thomas gets fouled. Mark, you got to love the effort here by Thomas working the boards.
We saw him sprint the floor in a 94-foot situation late in the second half and beat everybody down the floor. And now Ibrahim Thomas, as we get dribble penetration from Deontay Vaughn, it's that size advantage right there. Lazar Hayward only at 6'6" against a 7-footer. I like the 7-footer in that situation. 6'6" guys get tired. 7-footers doesn't matter.
That's right.
They're still big.
That's the 4th personal foul. And Lazar Hayward, a senior who has helped Marquette get into this overtime, hitting that 3-pointer. Thomas comes up short in the second one. 70-70.
When you look at how both teams are executing on the offensive end here in this overtime period, it's like Marquette's a whole lot more comfortable running their stuff.
Hayward for 3!
The L stands for leader. The W stands for winner. Lazar Hayward is just a winner.
What a 3!
Well, if you're Cincinnati, you've got to attack him. You've got to attack him and try and get that 5th foul.
Look at this, getting the rebound as well.
He's put up all Big East numbers this year. He's showing why coming down the stretch.
What did you think about the 3-point shot by Vaughn? Good shot at that moment.
Great pass, Acker to Butler. Bearcats back the other way. Here's Vaughn.
Vaughn directing traffic, wants to get Thomas down on the block. Just motion to him.
And a timeout here. A big Cronin. 1:24 left to play here in overtime. What a 3 by the senior Lazar Hayward, Mark.
He keeps coming out, just ready to shoot. Look at the balance from deep. Great extension on that jump shot. That's why he's so difficult to defend. Look at Buzz Williams slapping 5 with everybody.
You know, Hayward was
great scene.
4 of 17 in their loss to Pittsburgh. And as we mentioned, he really struggled for most of this game. But my goodness, what a difference he has made with this basketball team here, Anthony. With 124 left to play here in overtime.
He has really stepped up his play. But you know what? More importantly, he's been the guy that's wanted to take the shot. There's no hesitation. He's catching. He's letting it go. Full confidence in Bloom. And he's delivered.
Anthony, as a senior, I watched you throughout your career, and there's a big difference between freshmen and sophomores in that situation, and Lazar Hayward in a senior role. What's it like to be a senior and your team relies on you in that way?
Well, as a senior, you know it's your last go-round. And so if you want to make sure that you determine whether it's a good or a bad go-round. So the seniors are always going to be the guys that step up to try and make plays because they want it on their shoulders versus relying on younger players.
You know, we talked about Cincinnati and how important this game is for them. And, you know, you got to take care of business at home. And talking to Joe Lunardi, our insider for ESPN's bracketologist, he told me today this is the biggest game of the day. And here's the reason why, because both of these teams right on the bubble.
It's the full body of work. Cincinnati knocks off number 12, Vandy. We saw them in the Maui Classic when they played very, very well, lost an overtime game to Gonzaga in the championship game. Those wins still count, but you know what? It's what have you done for me lately? And the selection committee is seeing what Marquette's done for me lately and what Cincinnati's done for me lately. And they're on the court right now with all the eyes of the selection committee watching this game.
So many years, they really dictated your last 10 to 12 games and how you did down the stretch, but that's not the case this year. Here's Vaughn with 18 seconds on the shot clock. Vaughn double team. Right, baseline. Can't get it to go. Bishop with the rebound and got a foul here on Kubion. As Bishop will go to the line and he's going to shoot 2.
Well, you see the penetration there by Wright. He's quick enough to get to the basket. Just got to finish that play. You see, no one rotates over and he just blows the layup. But the rebounding, something we talked about, throw it up and go get it, helps Cincinnati in that possession.
We're seeing a hack-a-shack type of strategy employed by Marquette. Cincinnati is number 322 in the country in free throw percentage at 63% as a team.
Bishop at the line. He gets the first one to go. Shooting 58% from the free throw line.
Marquette in overtime, they're figuring if we can't stop you, then we're just going to foul you and make you earn it on the line.
Cincinnati, they need to get this win. 4 games left, 3 against top 10 teams. Bishop comes up short, 73, 71.
Last 6 foul shots, they've only made 3.
Yep. 1 out of each 2 by each player.
Under a minute left to play here in overtime.
Big defensive possession right here for Cincinnati.
And Marquette just probing off the dribble.
And a timeout. Buzz Williams. You know, we talked about how Cincinnati, I mean, you got to take care of business here at home, and their schedule gets very difficult after this game. I mean, obviously, they play against DePaul here at home. Then after that, they're at West Virginia, home here against Villanova, and then at Georgetown. Now, you can look at this in 2 different ways. I mean, you know the schedule's very tough, but it's a great opportunity for you, Anthony, you know what I mean? Because you can make send a message to the selection committee, hey, we went on the road. We beat, West Virginia. We beat Georgetown. We were able to win against Villanova. So it's really in their own hands, right?
It certainly is. Great opportunity to impress the selection committee because you can knock off 2 top 10 teams on the road if you can get it done, and you've got 1 at home. And when you look at their road record, they've won 2 games in the Big East on the road. So that will certainly help them.
And as far as Marquette, I mean, they can come away with the win here, Mark. I mean, they pretty much are in the driver's seat. If you look at their upcoming games at St. John's, at Seton Hall, then Louisville at home, then they'll wrap up the season for the Big East tournament against Notre Dame.
Well, St. John's just knocked off South Florida yesterday. We've got Seton Hall with Jeremy Hazel, who's very difficult to guard. Louisville, Notre Dame. Louisville, Rick Pitino's team always closes well. No guarantees, but certainly a more favorable schedule for Marquette.
Kubian will inbounds the ball here. 11 seconds on the shot clock. Cincinnati down by 2.
Where do you go, Coach? Lazar Haywood, is he involved?
You go to Darius Odom Johnson. Give him the basketball.
It's Butler against Bishop. Butler baseline, and he gets fouled. He's going to go to the line. He's going to shoot 2. You surprised by that call there, Mark, giving it to Butler there?
He would definitely be option B. I mean, Jimmy Butler has shown that he's had mismatches all day long and could take advantage of it. There's the crossover right there and draws contact. The thing I like about it is that he didn't settle for a jump shot. Took the ball in the rack and was able to draw contact.
Big free throws here by Butler.
Still plenty of time for Cincinnati, though. If he makes this foul shot, you don't need a 3. You can go down and get a quick 2 and see if you can get the steal. You got to extend the ball game now.
And he gets both free throws. 18 points for Jimmy Butler.
Deontay Vaughn's the guy to stop.
30 seconds left to play. Vaughn. Go to Dixon. Vaughn trying to make something happen. Nice pass. And a quick timeout here by Cincinnati.
Well, they used a lot of time.
But they got their deuce, and Deontay Vaughn, the thing I liked about that possession, Deontay Vaughn kept the ball in his hands. He acted like a senior that wanted the ball at crunch time.
Take a look at the bids by conference by our insider, Joe Lenardi, ESPN's bracketologist. As we mentioned, in the past decade, Joe has successfully predicted about 97% of those selections for the NCAA tournament. See the ACC 7 and Big 12 7. Look at the Pac-10. Where is the Pac-10?
Gone.
Yeah.
No at-larges for the Pac-10. It looks like they'll probably end up.
Cal could be. Cal could be. If Cal doesn't win the Pac-10 tournament, then they could be an at-large bid.
Game reset. 1 timeout for Marquette. Both teams in the bonus possession era going over to Cincinnati. If you look at the teams that are hot in the Big East here and that are on the bubble, if you will, what team would you be mostly concerned with if you saw this team in the NCAA tournament if they get in?
Louisville, because Rick Pitino's team always finishes strong. And he's the guy that teaches them the whole part. He throws the hole at his team early, and they always struggle to get beat by somebody you don't think they should. But late, you never want to play Louisville, ever. They always peak late February and into March.
As you take a look at Vaughn probing the defense, nice job by Bishop to cut to the basket and present a passing lane, because we talked about it, they stand around a lot.
All right, Mark, so what was the message by Mick Cronin to his team during this timeout, down here by 2?
Well, defensively now you're at 21.2, so you got to look for full court pressure, and I would trap and go for the steal in the front court area. Try to get yourself a turnover and then go from there. But once the ball crosses the half-court line, then you've got a foul.
As Cincinnati's going to go with someone over the ball. I'd like I'd like a guy in center field, and then you go full out deny and try not to let it in.
There's the pressure, as you mentioned. Hayward double team. Hayward, and he gets a timeout.
Good call by Mick Cronin there. Good aggressive call. Get with your trap. And Marquette, the thing that Buzz Williams doesn't want is that ball to be up against the sideline where it's an easy trap situation.
Both teams now with no more timeouts. We're here at Fifth Third Arena. Anthony Calhoun, along with former Division I basketball coach Mark Adams and former Cincinnati superstar, if you will. Anthony Buford here. These two teams, Marquette, Cincinnati, in overtime with 17.4 seconds left to play.
This is what Marquette wants to avoid. Look how the ball's right on the sideline. That gives for an easy trap situation. If you're Buzz Williams now, you're going to design plays to get you something deep or through the middle of the court. And I like coaches that look deep first for the 94-foot situation. That stretches the defense and gives you space to attack in the gaps.
What's at stake in this game? We mentioned both of these teams on the bubble. And prior to that timeout, Mick Cronin, Anthony, he was trying to get an offensive foul. They were looking for an offensive foul from Hayward there with his elbows, but they're not going to call that this late in the game.
No, you're not going to get that call. And I saw that yesterday. We saw a forearm delivered with 2 seconds to go in the game, and they don't call that stuff.
Look for Butler to fly deep, number 33 in blue.
Hayward inbounds the ball.
There he goes.
Here's the Butlers. You just called it, coach. And Butler with the dunk.
That's why I like the defender back and no one over the ball.
And that's why I like the long pass.
Here's Vaughn, down by 4. 10 seconds. Bishop for 3. And that's good. No more timeouts for both teams. 7.9 seconds left to play.
So they've got the defender over the ball. He's either got to prevent the long pass.
Kubian with the inbound. And Acker gets fouled here by Wright. 4th foul here on Wright. 7.7 seconds left to play. Marquette with a 1-point lead. What a game we have here at Fifth Third Arena. And Mark, you think these two teams want to play in the NCAA tournament?
Well, I know Jimmy Butler does, and there's the out-of-bounds play right there. And the white jersey was so far out of position initially. That's what I observed, and that's what Jimmy Butler observed as well, and they sent him deep.
Hey, you know what? In that situation, though, Coach, that is the perfect play to run if the defender is not really trying to prevent the long pass, or you stick him back to guard against that, and you deny all over the floor.
We are violently agreeing.
Big free throw there, though. Maurice Acker, senior, at a 1-and-1, was able to get the first one to go. 2-point lead.
Remember Larry Davis, number 11 in white for Cincinnati. 57% of his shots come from 3. He wants the ball.
And he gets the second one to go. 7.7 seconds left to play. Cincinnati down by 3. Here's Thomas to Wright. Wright in trouble. Vaughn for the tie. Can't get it to go. And that's it. Marquette survives. 79-76.
Well, that drops Cincinnati to 0-3 in overtime games.
NCAA Selection Committee, you've just seen compelling evidence that Marquette deserves to be in the NCAA tournament.
What a win for Buzz Williams and his Golden Eagles here today. Both teams needed this win to keep their NCAA tournament hopes alive. And just like that, Marquette hangs on to beat Cincinnati 79-76. Final in overtime.
Now Jimmy Butler, watch the white jersey against Jimmy Butler. He's way to the ball side, which gives Butler the opportunity to go and get the easy basket right there at a critical time of this basketball. Look at that. The defender's way behind, and Butler, a good enough athlete to make a play.
How about the pass during that, in that moment, though? Great execution with the pass.
And here's Cincinnati's last opportunity, and Deontay Vaughn, the senior, gets a good look.
Got a great look at it and just unable to convert the 3 at the end of the game.
We're going to talk to Buzz Williams moments from now, but what a day for his players. Johnson Odom, 20 points. Jimmy Butler, 20 points, 9 of 10 from the free throw line, and Fultz, 13. And how about the senior, Anthony? Lazard Hayward, you were on him all day, and he says 13 points, 11 rebounds. Take that, my friend.
Well, he came up big at the end of the game, and that's what you want out of your seniors. He's been big for them all year long, and when they really needed him, he delivered.
So So Marquette improves to 17-9 on the year. Let's go out now to Mark, who's standing by with a very happy Buzz Williams. Mark.
Buzz, congratulations. Just a heck of a victory here today. What were you thinking coming down the stretch? First with Lazar Hayward, giving him the ball in big situations.
Well, he's the guy that wants it in a big situation, and our team believes in him. I didn't think he was very good at all in the first half. Our seniors haven't been good the first half here or when we played at home against Pitt, but I thought in the second half they were the reason why we were able to survive this.
Late game, you've got the ball out on the side against Cincinnati's bench there. What was the play that you called? How well was it executed?
Well, it worked because the previous time we tried to run a play to get it in bounds and they trapped it and we didn't hit our cutters. So we had to do something to stretch them out, so it worked out pretty good.
The NCAA selection committee was certainly watching the game today. Two teams that obviously Joe Lunardi has you guys in. He's right 97% of the time, by the way. And you come through with a big road victory today. What does this win mean to your program?
Well, it just means that we can rest until midnight tonight and then try to figure out how we can beat a team like St. John's, who just won at South Florida by 16 points. This is a big week for us. We play 3 games on the road in 7 days. And then the parting gift is after we play 3 games on the road, we get to play Louisville at home a day and a half later. So this is a big stretch for us. I'm glad that it started out the way that it did.
Coming down the stretch, I know the coaches are always interested in what do we got to do to get better now? What does Marquette have to do to get better, to get to the NCAA tournament and make a run?
We're having too many lapses defensively. There in that stretch where we won 5 in a row, I thought we were really good defensively. Pitt destroyed us inside, and I thought at times in the last 10 minutes of the first half today, we didn't do a very good job. But I thought having this result will help us, obviously. But I thought in the second half we were much better defensively.
Congratulations,
good to
Buzz.
see you,
You're
Coach.
on your way.
Thank
Anthony,
you.
let's send it back to you.
All right, thanks a lot. So Marquette, as we mentioned, they will improve to 8-6 in the conference play. Cincinnati, Anthony, dropping to 6-8. Not good at all. Not good at all. They've really made it very difficult for themselves. They've got to win now 2 of those 3 games at the end of the season, either Villanova at home and you got Georgetown and West Virginia on the road. So they've really made their stretch difficult. Cincinnati, they're at DePaul on Wednesday. As for Marquette, they are at St. John's on Wednesday, and the road doesn't get any easier for the Bearcats. All right, once again, our final score, 79-76. Marquette, the winner in overtime here. For Mark Adams, Anthony Buford, and our entire crew, I'm Anthony Calhoun. For more information, log on to ESPNplus.com. The proceeding has been an exclusive presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Marquette 79, Cincinnati 76. Good day from Cincinnati.